Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Alvin here. Today, if you clicked on this video, I'm gonna talk about why action figures I'm not collecting anymore. As in the whole scene of buying action figures, be it 1/6, 12 inch, 12 scale or 7 inch. Those that have articulations, I don't buy them for myself. On a collecting point of view, in fact, I've actually stopped collecting action figures quite a while back, even pre-COVID days, and this revelation has caught up to me due to the fact that it's way too many. But before we talk about that, uh, I'm back. This video, it's a bit awkward. I'll be very frank with you because it's so quite a few months that I've not done a video. And primarily when I first started this video, I was still trying to figure out what I want to do on this channel. And back then, a few years during the COVID seasonality till now, it's more so the fact that I was actually actively selling my figures, be it action figures, statues, games, everything. And damn, I got way too many of them. And I'm still actively selling down. That's the reason why I actually started this channel, to help like-minded folks like you guys to help to sell down your collection, or even to see whether you can actually invest in collectibles, which is a hard no. Really, collectibles, especially action figures, is a hard pass that you can collect to invest. That's a given. You shouldn't even do that. Please no. So with that in mind, I'm back. More so the fact we're gonna be chit chatting with you guys, as I have other commitments to do while trying to resuscitate this channel and hopefully help you guys along the way, because I've, as with many of you, on YouTube especially, there are quite a few of you that are feeling the anguish of this era of collecting, which is a bit odd with the high prices and not the toy companies. There are so many of them right now, and then there's the licenses that's like they keep repeating the licensing to sell you the same figure that you don't really need. And then there's the same big companies like Hasbro and McFarlane that keep churning out the same, if not similar, like characters over and over and over again, which I don't know how you guys are keeping up, because I sure am not. So this video is just me ranting. So maybe just sit back, relax, and just hear me out. So before we even talk about why I stopped collecting, maybe we should start off with how I actually started collecting. And as you seen with the title suggesting, I'm actually already 40 years old. This year hit my 40-year milestone. Over the months, actually, I've been doing been not actively collecting. My last video, I've actually unboxed this Android 18, which surprisingly did quite a while, quite well in terms of views, which was a bit surprising because you guys enjoyed it like me. I actually love the figure, but I've decided that I will sell it off down the road while buying a statue instead. Because for me, all this while I've realized, there comes to a realization that I actually just like to stare at the figure. I never actually wanted to play with them. I'm sure many of you folks love the articulation, the engineering work on it, how it's made, spending, hundreds and hundreds of dollars just to get the figures, which for the life of me, I don't know how I'm going to put that sort of money into it, but kudos to you for doing that. But back then, prices weren't that high. When I started collecting in the year 2000s, I guess, when I first bought my very first figure, which was a Metal Gear Solid McFarlane figure, that was a trip. It was bought with the whole set of 6 back in the comic shop in Katong shopping center. I'm based in Singapore, so bear with me, international folks, that there's some locality things that you may not be aware because I'm based in Singapore. But if you are in Singapore, you roughly know that, and you're, like maybe around my age, you know that there was a Comic Smart in Katong Shopping Center, which my dad, back in 2000s, I guess, I was in secondary school, with my pocket money, I actually bought that set. And it wasn't cheap back then. It was actually actually relatively okay. The set of 6 was $120 Singapore dollars. So it was relatively cheap, which I was looking at it for a while. How I stumbled across that comic shop is also, I can't remember why also, to be very honest. I think it was back then when my parents were visiting a clinic around the area, then I happened to stumble upon it there. I mean, it's no longer there. It's so long ago already. Comic Smart is never there already. But yeah, I bought. I think it was Comic Smart. Whoever can correct me, let me know what's the actual name of the shop. But I'm quite certain it's Comic Smart. Anyway, bearing aside, that was my very first foray into action figures. But how I actually got interested in figure collecting, so to speak, is not because I was interested in figurines. I was actually first started, my first foray into pop culture was when my parents, when I was in primary school, for lack of a better word, we were in Toys R Us. And my dad bought me a Game Boy. Back in the day, the very big ass bulky Game Boy, the black and white Game Boy. I still remember in Toys R Us, we still had to pull out the tab, that piece of paper, to go down to the counter to pay for it and then collect it at another counter. Not like now where I don't think they even sell games in Singapore, Toys R Us. And if international folks, if you're still with me, I'm not sure whether you still have Toys R Us in your area, but yeah, in Singapore, it's still a thing. There's quite a number of outlets in Singapore that have Toys R Us. And yeah, back in the day, they actually carried games, which for the life of me now they don't. But they actually have display cases, glass cabinets. They put the games in, and then to buy the game, you actually have to pull up the tab. This piece of paper that has a barcode on it. Then you have to bring it to the cashier. You pay for it, and then you go and wait for it to be given to you. So that's where I first got my Game Boy, and then my first foray into gaming. And then I loved. I was playing Tetris for God knows how long, and then my very first other game was actually Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I forgot what was the title name. I'll put a bit of footage in it later down the road. And yeah, that was my first game. I was really into it, and that's how I loved pop culture, and I wanted the figurines. But then I wasn't that rich back then. So I needed to buy, then I needed to save. So I went to go and save up, go doing part-time. But then I didn't really buy any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't know for the life of me why I didn't buy any. But I bought my first Metal Gear Solid because when I first got my first Pokemon, that was already the gap between my Game Boy all the way to my first part-time job. There was a gap. It was primary school all the way to secondary school. And then I was into other stuff. I already got I will had my PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 back in the day. So I wasn't really buying any figurines until later down the road. Games, yes, I will few and far between. And in Singapore, when you have a PlayStation or PlayStation 2, the games were very cheap. I was going to say some bad words, but I will stop at that. It was damn cheap because it was all pirated. In Asia, everything was pirated. It was modded. The modding wasn't cheap when you have your PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, but the games were very cheap. So it was something that we Asians I'll get back to figure collecting. Anyway, when I got my part-time job, my first pay, I saved up, and then somehow, because it was Metal Gear Solid, the game, that I was very into it, I wanted some figurines out of it because Solid Snake was awesome. He was really good. You get to play as him, get to do the espionage sequences. Like it was. I will even in the middle of the night turn on the TV and play the game, and then my mom would scold me from across the room, and then she would shout at me to go and sleep. Anyway, that's that. But for the figures, when I got them, it was really nice back in the day with the sculpt. I loved the sculpt of it. And the fact that there wasn't any possibility factor on it. And for me, I didn't really want to open it because I just felt that it was nice on the card. So that's where I just kept it as it is. Then when I look up McFarlane toys, I realized that there were my interests grew from there. I like games. I like playing games, and I like watching movies. That's where it snowballs from there. Sadly, so I like horror. McFarlane Toys made horror, so that was a trip. I was into it. I was buying it, and as I saved up, and then I went to national service. As the years gone by, then I would spend the money buying into these. That's where I got my first foray into actually collecting action figures, which I was more towards the American side of things. I know there was Dragon Ball, there was One Piece, so I wasn't really into that back then. I knew of it. But Android 18 was the bomb. My dad brought me to watch the movie, and I was watching the series when Android 18 and 16, 17, 18 were around to defeat Trunks and Matt Krillin and all that. It's a thing. I'm just rambling here. I hope bear with me. I will tell you why I'm quitting later. But then right now the action figurine scene for me here was snowballing. I was a bit crazy over it. And then the completionist in me, I had to buy every series that comes out of it. When I started with series 1, where there was Jason Voorhees. I'm talking about the Movie Maniacs line right now. And again, I started with McFarlane Toys. Also partly because in Singapore context, there was Spawn Asia. Spawn Asia was selling toys for the cheap. Cheap as in one figure was like $20 Singapore dollars. Back then it was around the line of what I would buy and keep. And then I've seen then when you're there buying, you get to see a lot of buyers, a lot of collectors, and a lot of shop owners buying also. Then got me thinking, why are they even buying these as a shop owner? So that's another story altogether. Anyway, Spawn Asia was a thing. They were in Clarke Quay for the longest time. Then they moved across around the area, so around Clarke Quay to another building and all that. Then they're not around anymore. They were selling Spawn stuff, which is by McFarlane, and of course the relevant lines that McFarlane was making back in the day. And they were also selling Toy Biz Marvel Legends. That's also got me into the Marvel craze. I wasn't really into Marvel comics at all. It was the toys back then. It was the games that led me to figure collecting. Then the figurines that Spawn Asia was selling that got me into the other pop culture. See the link over here. It wasn't really me going after the subject matter, but rather the figurines that were giving me the joy. Then I pursue the subject matter. So Marvel, the comics wasn't really a thing for me until I saw the Toy Biz Marvel Legends, which I was looking at it at the price point $26.90, or was it even lower than that? I can't remember. At the price point with the base, some I think with the comic and the figurine was awesome. Then I bought a few. It was always selling out so quickly. Then we had to camp out there to buy. I mean, if you're a Singaporean collector, you would know. And this is something that it was a good old days. I would call it. I would call it the good old days. Then, as I pursue my collecting journey, then led me into reselling, which that will be another story altogether. So, what led me to now to make this video to say that I'm quitting action figurine collecting, and I think many of you are thinking of that. Because right now, McFarlane is back in the game. Don't get me wrong. They are actually back selling, making toys. They're also trying to bring back their static part action figure line, which like was the Spawn, they repainting, remaking it, for the present masses to buy. The price point is very high. I'll be very honest with you. I'm not sure, is it 70, 80 Singapore dollars just for one static figure? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's at this current price point, it's okay. I guess it's okay to manage. But they, much like with McFarlane and Hasbro, price increase due to also the whole economy, the inflation part of it, has skyrocketed the collector point of view. And action figurine collecting, yes, it's still doable, provided if there's something new. New in a sense that it needs to be what, well, there's worth to it. How do I put this? Is right now, I mean, back in the day when I was buying the collection and then keeping up with every series, which was a thing, because every, like for instance, the McFarlane Movie Maniacs, every series was a different horror character. Different. Like seriously, there's when they first started out, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger. Then the next one was if I'm not wrong, okay, they did a variation of the same character, but there were new characters that were Chucky, and among others. But for now, as if you want to collect, they as in if you want to buy the whole set, because sometimes you want a certain character and it's always selling out, you have to buy the whole pack, and then it's something like they always have so many Batman, so many Supermans, McFarlane point of view. Then just to get that one figure is always selling out, then you pay a premium. I mean, that's fine. That's always been the case. But with the price increment on top of the rarity of it, that's why you need to pay the secondary market for it. Doesn't work out in this day and age where food costs and price of things are increasing, and then your pay is not really keeping up with what it is today. And the fact that action figures, the figurine companies, there's so many of them right now. I remember I was looking at some YouTuber, they were talking about, if you have the money, if you buy like 4 different Spider-Mans at $30 each, you rather go and get a Mafex version of it, if there was one. But then I'll put it to you is, as you grow older, I'm not sure about you, some people still love playing with the toys. I've never actually played with it. And as I grew older, I really don't want to play with it. I don't want to put them in an action pose. And then I'm not sure about you, but do you even, comment down below, do you even play with it, change the pose every week? More so every day, I don't think so, but every week, every month, do you change the pose? The only reason I think you will change the pose is because the figurine fell down and then you had to reposition it, which I've done it so many times. And then as I grew older, I just got lazier. It's a fact. You just got lazier with your collection. You just want to look at it and on a hard day's work, and then you just be happy that you have it. Then as it dawned on me that action figures are the 12-inch, yes, they are there. Then after a while, in Singapore climate, especially the 12-inch, now I'm talking about the 12-inch scene with the hot toys and everything, which again, the prices are very, very expensive right now. I'm not sure how you guys are keeping up. And again, if you are investing into it, please don't. It's quite dumb to do that. Anyway, as with figure collecting, you should be mindful that in our climate, which is hot all the way, the toys will disintegrate. I'll put it that way. Like for instance, the Android 18, actually the 12-inch figure that I have, I don't plan to keep it because it will disintegrate down because it has rubber boots and some leather parts in it. I mean the figure will be okay, the clothing will be fine, but because certain parts of the figures already will disintegrate down the line, I don't wish to keep it. So that's why I've actually moved already in between. As you collect, you will stumble upon different categorization of collecting, and then I stumble upon statues. Then I realized that as you collect, you buy and sell here and there, then you'll keep those few that you don't mind keeping. And then as with what I have now, I may do a tour of it fairly soon. Right now, the mainstay of my figures are the Bishouju 1/7 scales and the 1/4 scales. I do have a 1/3 scale of my Shiranai, and that's about it. Collectible side, this is what I have. On the investing side, it's a little different. I will talk about that in another video. This has gone on to like 20 minutes really. I don't wish to keep you all guys that long. And the reasons, again, collecting has always been something that I was truly passionate about. I really like collecting things. Over the course of the years, my highs and lows are there, as with many of you who have been collecting will know. Collecting is something that is truly dear to me. This channel will evolve from just reselling, because back in the day I was reselling down my collection, hence I was doing more eBay related stuff, because I rather sell it on eBay than to Carousel because you get more money there, and truly it does. But for action figures as it stands, the companies they really are riding the nostalgic feeling, which a lot of you will buy into it. I urge you to maybe take a step back and then just hold that thought, hold that feeling, let it ride it out, and see whether if you really want to buy, then go for it and buy. How I'm doing it, I will share it down in the later videos, as we go along with this channel. I don't plan to do much work on this, the videos as per se. Each video will be just me chatting, as I don't really have time to edit. I do a bit of normal editing down the line, but for me, it's just me talking to you guys, chit-chatting with you all, putting my feelings that action figurine collecting is not for me anymore. What about you? Why have you stopped collecting? Why have you continued collecting? Put your comments below, and maybe I'll see you in the next video. See you guys, everyone. Bye bye.